This is my attempt at the final exercise for the very first 10 challenges. It's challenge 1.10, putting it all together. So for this challenge, I need to give a speech in 5 minutes or less that covers all the main points that we've learned so far, and that includes 3 main takeaways. All right, so let's begin. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Mason, and today what I'd like to talk about are 3 tips for how to arrive at physical well-being. How do you feel better physically? What are 3 main things that we can do to make that happen? So that's going to be our journey in today's speech. Now, the 3 are pretty simple. In fact, one of the best ways to say it is by the title of a book recently that was written by a guy named Tom Rath. And his book title was simply Eat, Move, Sleep. Eat, move, sleep. And that's what I want to talk to each of us today about. Basically, how can we improve our physical well-being by first eating a little bit better, secondly, by exercising, and even just standing up and moving a little bit, and finally, how can sleep help us do a little bit better? And I'll try to give us a few tips along the way. So let's start with the first one, eat. Eating is probably the most important thing you can do consistently to feel a lot better. We all kind of know that there's sort of an obesity epidemic in the United States now, and that a lot of people are struggling with that. And one of the reasons that seems to be happening is even though we've been eating less fatty foods, we're eating foods with a lot more sugars and other kinds of carbohydrates that are making us a lot more obese, but also it makes us not feel so good. So eating is critical, and eating tends to lead towards the other 2, better sleeping, and of course, if you eat a little bit better, you tend to have a little more energy and you're a little more willing to move. So let's start with this first one of eating. Eating is all about putting in really good stuff into your body and filling your body up with those things so that you don't want to go off and eat all the bad stuff. One of the really interesting facts out there is that when you eat really fatty foods, you tend to have to eat more in order to feel full. So sort of like if you think of yourself as filling up a tank, you have to eat a whole bunch of fatty foods before your body registers that you're full. Whereas if you eat healthy foods, especially vegetables, you actually don't need to eat as much. And then all of a sudden it starts sending signals to your brain that you're full. So the trick to eating more healthy, first and foremost, is start with the healthy stuff. And try to get as much of that into you as you possibly can, because that's the stuff that's actually going to trigger your brain that you're full, and you're going to end up eating less in order to feel full in the first place. If you start with the things like the chips or the soda pop or any other kinds of really fatty or sugary foods, you're going to have to eat a lot more of it anyway, and you're going to then fill up with a lot of that stuff that isn't all that good for you. So that's the first tip, is eating very healthy. The second tip, or the second rule, and then I'll give you some tips around it, is all about how can you do a little bit better at moving. And one of the simple facts about moving that I personally take comfort in is you don't have to go out and do a whole lot of moving for it to be good for you. You just have to even stand up. Get up off the couch, get up off your desk at work, get up off a chair wherever you are. Just standing up itself is shown to be much more healthy than sitting down. You just need to stand up every once in a while. Many of the fitness devices that you can wear on your wrist or on your belt will buzz you if you haven't stood up and done some kind of movement in about 60 minutes. And that's a good rule of thumb, is you're trying to get up and just stand up. Just every time you get up and even walk to the restroom, get up and walk down the hall to a meeting or head outside for just a few minutes. Think of that as you're giving yourself points towards a healthier lifestyle. Now, they do say, of course, you need to get out and get a little bit of exercise once in a while. Again, here, you don't have to make it really strong, really highly exerting exercise. You just need to have some regular exercise. Even a good long walk is really, really healthy. And certainly walking is even better than standing. You don't want to just stand up all the time. You need to walk around, move around a little bit. And so think of it that way. Just give yourself an opportunity to get up. Make sure you're at least walking, standing every hour if you can, or at least every couple hours. And that's going to help you feel a whole lot better throughout the day. Now, the final thing we're talking about today is the final rule, and that is you need sleep. Sleep is a powerful thing because it tends to put a lot of the other stuff together. There's a lot of good research that sleep is very important for mental well-being and for memories. It's very hard to remember things actually over a long period of time if you're depriving yourself of sleep. Most people recommend you need at least 7.5, if not 8 hours of sleep a night on average. A little more oftentimes if you're a teenager, actually. As adults, we can go with a little bit less than that. But almost nobody can do really well if you're starting to get under 6.5, 6 hours a night. We all think we can, but you are losing out on really important time at night where your mind is consolidating memories and helping you to think through tough problems and helping you to get ready for the next day. What's interesting, though, is from a physical standpoint, lowering your sleep actually increases your appetite and causes you to be less physically fit as well. You tend to have less motivation, you tend to have less energy and ability and even desire to get out there and do the physical fitness thing. So as they study more of these things, we realize, wow, eating is really important. And eating tends to be a piece that helps us sleep better. I've personally found that the less sugar I eat, the better I sleep. Moving is really important. The more I move, the better I sleep. But also, the better I sleep and the more I sleep, the less I have a desire to eat and the more I have a desire to move and get exercise. So there's a synergy, in a sense, between these three areas: eating, moving and exercise, and sleep. So those are the three big rules of physical fitness and physical well-being, and a couple tips that go along with it. And so what I encourage all of us to do is, even in the next couple hours, see if you can find an opportunity to eat a little bit better, put in those good things first, to move a little bit, get up off the couch or off your desk, take a little bit of a walk, even just 2 minutes to 5 minutes of exercise will get you away. And really look for an opportunity to get some good sleep tonight. Try to at least get, if you can, 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. That's my presentation, trying to put it all together around physical fitness and well-being.